Again, the purpose of this event is to try to make sure that the Congress of the United States, the administration of this country, our friends and allies around the world, and not least, of course, people of goodwill in this country and elsewhere, are on notice that Nigeria is at risk of disastrous collapse, that the forces that we've just been talking about are in the process of taking down a country that is the most populous in Africa, with horrific implications, not just for the immediate, needed to do two really vital things. One is to pull together the government agencies that have responsibility for pieces of a problem like Nigeria. The Defense Department, as well as, of course, the State Department, USAID, the UN mission of the United States, the National Security Council, and others, to come together with a common, appropriate, and much needed policy approach. And then secondly, at least as importantly, to be able authoritatively to represent what that approach is to the government of Nigeria. So they know who they're dealing with. They know that this is, in fact, the policy.
The United Nations have started putting mouth in Nigerians' stuff. We all know that the things that are happening in this country at this moment is quite unbearable. Starting from insecurity, hardship, hyperinflation, and all kinds of things happening in the economy at the moment. I am very overwhelmed to see that at least Americans have started putting their mouth in things that concerns Nigeria at the moment, because it is no longer funny. According to them, they say that Nigeria is about to break this and that and this, that they want to put in their mouth regarding this particular thing that is happening in the country. My correct people, them not be smart. I will allow you guys to watch the full details of this particular video, because this man said so many things regarding this. I beg, if this is your first time coming across my channel, kindly do well, please, to subscribe. Turn on the notification button so that you get notified whenever we post our latest content. Kindly watch the rest of the videos.
Again, the purpose of this event is to try to make sure that the Congress of the United States, the administration of this country, our friends and allies around the world, and not least, of course, people of goodwill in this country and elsewhere, are on notice that Nigeria is at risk of disastrous collapse, that the forces that we've just been talking about are in the process of taking down a country that is the most populous in Africa, with horrific implications, not just for the immediate vicinity, the Lake Chad region as it's known, but for that continent and almost certainly others beyond. Congressman Wolf mentioned Bona, talking about a catastrophe that would make what has happened to Europe in the past few years, as a relatively small number of people migrated there with unbelievably chaotic consequences, look like a day at the beach by comparison. We're on notice. And the question is, do we have to wait until this horror is upon us before something is done about it? Or do we take steps now to try to prevent that? And I don't think any of us is saying that this is a panacea, but the appointment of the appropriate individual with the requisite authority. I just wanted to underscore what Congressman Wolf said about having the President of the United States essentially personally empowering Senator Danforth to lead the effort on behalf of our country to alleviate that situation. that has to be done again, and it has to be an empowering of a person with the stature and the capabilities needed to do two really vital things. One is to pull together the government agencies that have responsibility for pieces of a problem like Nigeria. The Defense Department, as well as, of course, the State Department, USAID, the UN mission of the United States, the National Security Council, and others, to come together with a common, appropriate, and much needed policy approach. And then secondly, at least as importantly, to be able authoritatively to represent what that approach is to the government of Nigeria. So they know who they're dealing with. They know that this is in fact the policy, and they can't go, looking for people who will provide some sort of alternative that might not require as much of them. So it's those two vitally important things that have to be done. And on behalf of, again, the Save the Persecuted Christians Coalition and team, I just want to say I think this is a moment of truth, a moment when we will find a difference being made by an administration that is about making a difference on behalf of religious freedom and those who are being denied it around the world. And let me just take a moment to say, as bad as this situation is, it is just one of the areas in the world in which particularly Christians are suffering. By some estimates, it's as small a number as 215 million Christians being brutally persecuted. By others, it's as high as 500,000. 500 million. This is on our watch. It is unconscionable. It must be challenged, contested, and if possible, stopped. And that's what this coalition is about. And I pray that we will be able, with the help of people like Congressman Estes and Congressman Wolf and the Archbishop and our coalition and countless others, to see this problem sorted by the appointment at the earliest possible moment, preferably by the end of this year, because these elections are approaching, of an individual with the requisite authority of the President of the United States and the assignment of making both the U.S. government policy coherent and clear and effective, and communicating that, again, authoritatively to the government of Nigeria, who in the end is ultimately responsible for preventing this catastrophe.
The pitiable situation of Nigeria, daily manner of April to June 2019, page 3, and I quote, Nigeria, it is a land of generals without war, professors without discovery, politicians without ideology, wealth without prosperity, religion without piety, leaders without vision, the oppressed without worries, courts without justice, criminals without fears, history without glory, heroes without honor, schools without learning, artists without theater, intellectuals without thoughts, terrorists without identity, appointees without life, hunger without famine, change without progress, next level without foundation, democracy without citizen, unity without love, heroes without sacrifice, policies without plans, crimes without culprits, sense without humility, integrity without performance, wars without enemies, billionaires without business, youths without dreams, elders without wisdom, electricity bill without power. My wife added families without relationship. And if you ask me, I will add, but I will not say so, judiciary without independence. In Nigeria, we are at a time when there is freedom of speech on paper, but there is no freedom at the end of speaking. Before you speak, there is freedom of speech. But after speaking, freedom is not guaranteed. You can finish speaking and something else will happen. We are in a time when there is press freedom, but after the press release, freedom is not guaranteed. You can land yourself in jail. What will you do when you administer justice in an environment like this? When we say A, we mean B. When we say right, we mean left. When there is equality before the law, but in practice, some people are more equal than others.